Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Always ready to dig into something interesting.
Well, this week we're tackling something that's been making headlines everywhere and probably blowing up your social media feeds too. It's the crypto craze, specifically Bitcoin, going absolutely nuts since Trump won the election.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to watch. Kind of feels like the whole financial world is holding its breath, trying to figure out what happens next.
Totally. And to help us unpack all of this, we've got some great excerpts from investors and the Times. They both got some really interesting perspectives on what's driving this surge.
Looking forward to digging into those.
Me too. So just to set the scene for anyone who might have missed it, imagine waking up and finding your Bitcoin stash is suddenly worth like 34% more than it was the day before.
That's a pretty good wake-up call, I'd say.
It definitely is. And that's what happened to a lot of people right after the election. Bitcoin went on an absolute tear, smashing through its previous all-time high.
Yeah, and we're not talking about a slow, steady climb here. It hit a whopping $93,000, and that was directly tied to the election results.
Crazy, right? And investors pointed out that it wasn't just regular folks buying Bitcoin like crazy. We saw big financial institutions, the kind that usually shy away from crypto, pouring billions of dollars into Bitcoin ETFs.
Oh, yeah, that was a major signal. For anyone who doesn't know, ETFs are like baskets of assets you can invest in. And a Bitcoin ETF lets these more traditional investors get in on the action. It basically says, hey, we're taking Bitcoin seriously now.
Exactly. And then you had companies like MicroStrategy. They were already pretty deep into Bitcoin, but after the election, they decided to double down. And even Coinbase, that platform where everyone buys and sells crypto, well, their stock went through the roof too.
All signs pointing to a massive shift in how Wall Street views crypto.
For sure. And it's hard to ignore the impact of Trump's campaign promises. Remember all that talk about making the U.S. a global leader in crypto? It wasn't just talk, it seems.
No, it wasn't. He talked about some pretty big moves, like creating a national Bitcoin reserve. Imagine that. The U.S. government holding Bitcoin. It would have been a pretty wild move.
It was shaking things up for sure.
Right.
And then there were those hints about shaking up the SEC, that agency that regulates Wall Street. The idea was to put someone in charge who's more open to digital assets.
Right. A crypto-friendly SEC chairman. All of those promises, along with the overall, I guess you could say, post-election buzz, created this huge wave of optimism in the market. Investors saw a real chance for a less strict environment for crypto under a new administration.
Yeah, and investors points out that a lot of people are betting on a less strict regulatory landscape, and they're hoping it'll bring in more investors and lead to even more growth.
Makes sense. Less red tape usually means more people are willing to jump in.
Definitely. And investors didn't hold back on the predictions for the future. Some analysts are saying Bitcoin could hit $200,000 by 2025 if this trend keeps going. It's mind-blowing, really.
Yeah, 200K Bitcoin. It's not impossible, but it's worth remembering that the crypto market is notoriously volatile. It's not some magic money tree. Investors also highlighted that a lot of the excitement comes from Trump's proposed tax changes, specifically rolling back capital gains taxes on crypto profits. That could make it a more attractive investment than traditional assets.
Oh, right, that tax break.
Yeah.
I can see why people are excited. But the Times throws in a bit of caution, right? They've got some economists saying that while deregulation could boost the market, it could also make it really unstable and create bubbles.
It's the classic dilemma. Do you let things run wild and hope for the best, or do you put on the brakes and risk stifling innovation?
Tough question. It sounds like there's huge potential for gains, but also a real risk of big losses. If you're thinking about jumping into crypto, you've got to do your homework and understand the risks involved. It's definitely not a guaranteed path to riches.
Agreed. It's crucial to approach it with a balanced perspective. What strikes me as really fascinating about all of this is the potential impact on the entire financial system. If Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies become mainstream, it could change how we think about money and value altogether.
Wow, that's a big thought. Are we on the edge of some financial revolution? Pretty exciting stuff, but also kind of nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. It could be the beginning of a whole new era, but we need to approach it with a good mix of excitement and caution.
Couldn't agree more. So, what do you think, listeners? Is this Bitcoin surge just a temporary high from the election buzz, or are we seeing the start of something much bigger? Let us know what you think. Hit that like button, follow the show, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive.
And definitely let us know what topics you'd like us to explore next week. What mysteries of the world are you curious about? We're all ears.
Until next time.
See you then!